Welcome back, my friend. This is Mr. Anna in the world of toys. And today is a special episode because on my show come back an amazing artist, an amazing sculptor that work with many toy company like McFarlane Toys, Neca and Zombie Sailors Toy and more. So guys, please welcome my guest, Alex Heinke. Alex, welcome to my show. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. Good to see you again.
So I'm happy to have you back. As you can see in my background, there's something about your heart, something that you do the prototype. I'm very because I do some videos about these figures for Zombie Sailors Toys. When I show a first look of these figures, and because of this channel, you have a fan base related with the old WWF Hasbro figures. And because on this channel, every week I do a stop motion series with many custom figure what I did of the WWF Hasbro. And so many people that follow this type of video that I do every week also knows really well the job that Zombie Sailors Toy do for these type of wrestling figures, and they like so much that. So basically, the people that watch my show of wrestling stop motion series knows also the figures made by Zombie Sailors Toys, so they know also your works about the prototype and this stuff. So I want to start with that. For example, I will start immediately with the Under the Giants figure. I think it's really cool. Speaking of the likeness, I think the likeness of the face of these Under the Giants figures, in my opinion, is better than Mattel because if you watch the days, you recognize immediately the expression of Andre in real life. So tell me something about how, what is the process to create a perfect likeness for the figure, for the prototype, for example.
Um, I mean, for doing a likeness for a face, like I try not to use just one photo because I mean with technology now, if you want, you can go into Photoshop or any program, and you can kind of just like overlay it and check it from one view, but that doesn't get you like all the way there. So I try to watch a lot of like videos and get a real sense of like all the forms of their head from different angles and like what facial expressions they kind of go through a lot. And so if you watch enough video, you can kind of get a sense of like someone's head and then try to do it. And the thing about doing portraits is like if I'm sculpting a shoe, I know exactly how long it takes. But if I'm doing a portrait, it could be 4 hours or it could be 3 days and I still don't have it. So sometimes there's just is something about somebody that isn't clicking. And so there is like a little bit more kind of witchcraft in doing a portrait than a lot of other stuff that I can sculpt.
Cool. And what is your feelings during this work? Because I don't know if you're a wrestling fan. For example, to me, I'm a big fan, especially for those days of Andre, the golden era. In general, the many of the characters in the Zombie Sailors line are related with this era of wrestling of the 80s. By my opinion, Andre is an icon that passed over wrestling stuff because was really popular and still popular today. Also because the movie The Princess Bride, for example, but in general as a character, because was a larger than life character that passed through the barricade of wrestling to go other in the show business in general. What is your feelings during this? So first of all, do you like this era of wrestling? And then what is your feelings to do a sculpture for a character like this one?
Yeah, it was amazing to do Andre the Giant because I was a fan of wrestling back in that era in the 80s. And like I was born in 77, so uh, was pretty young, like when he was wrestling a lot. And then also I was young, like I saw The Princess Bride, and so that movie had a big impact on me. I remember I don't know if I read the book The Princess Bride first or saw the movie, but the actors did such a good job that now if I read the book of The Princess Bride, I just see all the actors from the movie. Like I see, Andre in that role as Fezzik. So yeah, I mean, it's always a pleasure to work on somebody who when I knew their work from back in the day when I was a kid, like it just adds an extra level of enjoyment to sculpting something. Oh wait, can you hear me?
Now, yes, because I don't know if I was maybe I was frozen during maybe I saw maybe I don't. You need to restart from the when you watch the Princess Bride movie from that.
Okay, yeah. So when I watched the Princess Bride movie, like it had a big impact on me because I was pretty young, and so I read the book around the same time. And now if I go back and I read the book, I just see the actors from the movie because they did such a great job. Like Andre is, Fezzik to me. And then from seeing him wrestling at that age, it's such a pleasure to get to sculpt him now, having those memories of him as a kid. It doesn't matter, like any other wrestler now doesn't have the same impact as one I saw when I was like 8. Like they just, they're icons forever for me.
That's true. And actually the action figure of Andre, so also I believe the prototype is taller, a little bit bigger than the others.
Yeah. So we're scaling them, all the figures down just a little bit. I mean, there's some shrinkage with the plastic, but then also I sculpted them just a little bit bigger. But I'm also, between each sculpt, I'm trying to get some of the difference in heights between the different wrestlers. And so, like someone like Danhausen is more on the shorter end. And then there's, Brian Myers, Matt Cordona, like a little over 6 foot. And then there's like Andre, like in a league of his own, where he's just so big. I mean, he's tall, but then his head is big too. So
everything is big. Everything is big about Andre.
Yeah,
do you
everything
have
is
also,
big about Andre.
Do you have also the prototype of the figure?
No, So I noticed. So I have some wax ones from a while ago. Like, so after I sculpt the wax, it goes to the mold maker, and the mold maker will then cast it in resin. But the original wax gets sometimes banged up in the molding process. So some of them make it out of the process, some of them don't. So I have a few of the waxes. I think I do have an Andre in resin, but it's a very white resin, so it doesn't show up on camera very well. So some of the other guys I can show you, I have in wax, and I can show you kind of what the prototypes look like after they're molded, and they come back.
Because I saw that for because I do also something, I believe some video this few days ago about it, so to recap a little bit better because I saw other interesting character that I have also in my collection as a custom figure of a WWF custom figure Hasbro that I did, because I saw also One Man Gang, King Kong Bundy. I saw what is the name of this guy? Yes, B-Bolly Music, Todd Pettingill, Slack, and also Bruiser Brody. I saw these figures. Something about them. I'm correct.
Yeah. All those figures are correct. I think those are all being molded up right now. So they're like under rubber being cast up, and so we'll see them painted up soon.
What is the before to go in each character? What is the process from you to the final figures? The step to the production of for the prototype.
So I do the original sculpt in wax, and I'll cut in the joints, that kind of stuff, to put pins in, and then I'll send it to a mold maker, who will basically bury all the pieces in rubber and make little vents and stuff to let the air bubbles out. And so then there's a rubber negative of it, and they peel the rubber negative off. And so sometimes the wax original, like, fingers go flying, it gets torn up. And then he casts it in a resin, which is kind of like a pretty sturdy kind of plastic. And he'll do a few copies of that. So then we can do the paint prototypes and the prototypes for the molding. And so then my friend Jen Johnson does the paints. On Instagram, she's Lucky Jenny 3000. She does an amazing job. She just showed paints of the Kevin Sullivan, which look amazing. But then after she paints a few prototypes, so we can like photograph it and everything like that. But then the production hasn't even really started yet, because we have to ship, some of the resin castings off to China, and they make another set of molds. They make like steel molds that are like much more expensive, but they can pull thousands of copies of the actual toy out of the mold. And then they pull them out and then paint them in China, and then they ship them back here, and then they'll be shipped again to get into your hands. So it does kind of goes around the world to get the final thing.
I think that because I saw some figures also of the Zombie Sailor store, I saw that in general, from the beginning, from your wax model to the final, I think that your work is still saved in this process. I think it's cool. It's not easy to every toy company, because sometimes you find some difference between the prototype or before and the actual figure in the end. Speaking of the sculpt, sometimes the sculpt is there is some lack of the sculpt in the end of the final figure. But I saw that this figure from Zombie Sailor Toys, they are able to save your art inside.
Yeah, that is the bane of every sculptor, every portrait artist who's done toys, is if it comes back from China and your sculpt was good, and then things can happen along the way, like because it's being molded twice and it's being molded in different materials, it can shrink. A lot of times they pinch like right through the temples. They'll like get squeezed through here, or sometimes the sculpt is okay, but the paint misses. Like if you sculpt the eyebrow in one spot, and then in China, I think the eyebrow in a different spot, it'll look terrible. So, so far, fingers crossed, everything looks really, really good so far. That the portraits and everything are coming out. And
so now I have also I have a little slide that I did for the Andre. This is this one. This one are the prototype. This because I showed that as a reveal, no, because Zombie Sailor Toys shared this video on their Twitter accounts, and then I share also my channel. These are the prototypes. $400. These are the prototype of the figure, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? Because I don't know if you hear me now.
Yeah, I could hear you through all that. You're good.
Okay. This one was the early prototype. What is this one? Or was a production sample of the figure?
So that, I think what you're showing there is going to be the early prototype. The first time it's molded, when it's molded here in the US. And I think Zombie Sailor showed a few pictures on social media of the size. Like, so the initial prototypes are about 10% bigger than the production. So if you hold them in your hand side by side, like you'll know which one's the original prototype cast here, because it'll be about 10% bigger.
Okay. And speaking of another one that I have also another. For this one, I want to show you also my custom. But before to show you my custom, I want to show you this one. Yes. I have this one. Yes, the King Kong Band, because it's another amazing figure. And yes, in a few seconds, I show you also this one. I think it's another early prototype for that. There is right here. Yes, I think we can see now. Not like that. I'm zooming a little bit. Tell me something about the sculpting of this King Kong Bandi. What is the process? Was the same of Andre? Was a little bit different?
Oh, well, it's funny because I sculpted Andre after King Kong Bundy. So I think King Kong Bundy, I was trying to make him just bigger, I think taller and heavier than any other figure I'd done so far. And then Andre, then I made even bigger. So it was funny, like, you know, we're trying to keep them roughly in scale with each other. So like it was one step up and then a step up even much bigger. And King Kong Bundy has a great face. Like some of the like his yelling face was so good. Like, yeah, we had to do him with that expression.
So the figure of King Kong Bandi is a little bit taller also than the other. Is in the middle between Andre and the others. Speaking of the 8.
Yeah, that's how I sculpted him. So hopefully in production, I mean, hopefully there won't be any issues with how big they are on the card. But the plan is to have them all scaled differently, so he will be bigger. He will be bigger than the other figures.
So, and now, just for fun, I won't show you my WWF Hasbro custom figure King Kong Bandi to discover what do you think about it, because I do that with my friend. I need to find also only the picture because I create this federation of resin. I have also every week a stop motion series. When I do many stop motion, many custom figure, basically I sketch the style of the figures, and my friends copy it for me. And I want to show you this one in a few seconds because I have a long list of pictures, because the roster of this federation is really big. And just for fun to show you my version of King Kong Bandi, my federation of resin of Hasbro is a custom figure. Yes, I can zoom in a little bit. I think maybe you can see better what is. This one is my custom figure of King Kong Bandi.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, the body is an Hasbro body. It's the same body, because when I create this custom figure for my Federation of Resin, I try to respect also me too in my show to have characters, also the figure with in scale. So as you did for Zombie Sailor Toys, Andre is taller than Bandy, and Bandy is taller of Bret Hart, for example, Brady Menard or Roddy Piper. And I try to use the speaking of the body part, mixed body parts, and also use body part that works for the character in scale for the other. For example, I use the same body part that I use of the WWF Hasbro Bam Bam Bigelow, because Bam Bam Bigelow and King Kong Bundy are almost the same size. So are good this body part to do this custom. But speaking of the figure that you did for Zombie Sailor Toy, do you have the wax sculpt for that for him?
Yeah. Let me show you some of the wax sculpts I got. All right, let's start. All right, so I've got a.
This one is Earl Ebner, I believe. Earl Ebner.
Yeah, here's the Earl Hebner in wax, and so you can see he's all there, but you can also see he lost a few fingers to the mold making, but he came out pretty intact. And let me see if I can. So all the articulation works in the wax. Like you can move his head, move everything. It's just everything's kind of delicate.
And to have the articulation in a wax model like that, how you use some pins inside?
Yeah. So for there's like metal pins I have in here just to set up the flat cut articulation. And if I do more complicated articulation, I may have like a piece of like plastic in there, like plastic and a metal pin. But just for like this flat cut, I'll just have like a metal pin in there. So if you can see that.
Cool. And when you do a model like this one, for example, for Abner, you you know everything. What do you do during the process, or you discover the perfect shape in the making of?
Well, we have the designs by Ron Rudat is doing the designs, but he's keeping them loose enough, and he's not doing like every like side view or doing all the details. So I do a lot of it in the sculpt. I'll find it, which I know that the kind of the really kind of traditional Hasbro way of sculpting is to do the plan view from 4 different sides and have it exactly planned out. And then I come from the more classical sculpting tradition where you do a small like sketch on paper, and then you do like little bozzettis, you do like little clay sketches, and you try out a couple different poses and you keep tweaking it. And then the final version is going to be slightly different than every clay sketch and then the pencil sketch. So I try to stick to that kind of classical way of working where I'm improving it every step of the way. And so like where the final like wrinkles and stuff on the shirt are, I don't know until I put them all in. Like I make it up as I go.
Just for fun and just to do a comparison, I want to show you my custom figure of Earl Abner because I did that for my show. Do you like it?
Yeah, I'm getting him in the face. You got something in the eyes and the cheeks. It's him.
And as usual, I just do the sketches. My friends Carpenter for me, and for the body part, I use some. I mix some body part of the Hasbros again. But back on track. So, what is how much time you this one, for example, needs a sculpt like that? How much time to do that?
So usually 2 weeks. But it's one of those things where it may seem about done in 1 week, but then the final detailing and the final sanding, getting the details like in the hair and the ears and the sanding, and then revisions. Then if there's like a day of revisions at the end or 2 days of revisions, then it always ends up being around 2 weeks.
And during the revision, you show your work with some friends, or just to have some outside output, or you are the only revisioner for that? For example, when I do something, also this custom, but now I'm working because I like action figure. I start to working with some big diorama. No? It to me is really new. I'm not really good. It's the first time ever in my life they try to do that diorama for my figures, and when I start to working for a floor for some stuff like that, then I start to show my stuff to my girlfriend, to my brother, to friends, to understand if what I do is decent or not. But because I'm a musician, I'm a writer, I'm a YouTuber, but this one is something new to me. So I try to be confident, but it's not easy because it's something really new. But for you, there are an amazing artists. How works that? The revision, the situation, the revision.
I mean, that kind of is the shame. Is I've been working on projects a lot of times are secret, so there's like non-disclosure. For my whole career from McFarlane, Neca. there's been a lot of like movie properties and stuff like that where I can't let other people see. So when I've been at like McFarlane or Neca in the studio, then the people who would give me critiques would be whoever else is working in the studio and knows the property, because you don't want to like leak the monster from a big budget movie ahead of time. Like I would be in a lot of trouble. So, I mean, the same thing with this is like, we don't want to leak it ahead of time. So basically the only people who see it when I'm first sculpting it would be Zombie Sailor, and then just like my family.
Okay.
So it's a very small circle.
So you got the feedback for the small circle during this moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can see
that is something. So I do, like I'll do the thing where I'll not look at it for a day and then come back and try to have fresh eyes to see it myself, because it's always like a faster critique circle if I can catch it myself. So I'm always trying to like look at it in the mirror or look at it first thing in the morning and try to catch what's wrong. And I don't always catch everything. Like there's always something.
So can you show me another one?
Yeah. Let me grab. So here's Danhausen.
Okay, yes, I saw the promo on the, so I believe on the website of Zombie Sailor. So it's the first time ever this figure for this character. That's right.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I think he's had some super deformed, like more like bobblehead kind of scale. But yeah, and I think he's the best-selling one so far, but he hasn't competed against Andre yet. So
Yes, I think Andre will be a bestseller, I believe.
But yeah, you can see he's mostly there. I have one of his accessories here. I have his bag of money, his bag of human money. But you can see he doesn't have his cape because the cape is being done in fabric. And yeah, Lucky Jenny is doing that. Well, she did that cape. It was amazing.
The cape will be a soft goods.
Yeah, the cape will be soft goods.
Okay, really cool.
And we're doing like most stuff in plastic, but there are a few things that make sense to do soft goods, and his cape was definitely one. So it can like actually flow and like move a little bit, and so I think that makes sense. Yeah, back in the days at McFarlane Toys, I did a lot of Spawn capes that were just hard plastic, and it's at that point it's not an action figure because the wind is blowing in one direction, the cape's going this way, and it's like rock solid, and you can like move the arm so it can like do that a little bit, but it's not really an action figure. So I think for him, when he's all posed and everything, I think the fabric cape.
Yes, the cape is a better way. The soft goods also, if you put some wire, because someone put the wire inside the cape to posable the soft goods also if you want. I saw some stuff like that. It's really cool.
The wire inside the fabric, when that works right, that's so good because then it can you can pose the cape along with the figure and get an action pose where it looks like it's moving, and it's the perfect way to do a cape when it works right.
I'm agree with you.
Let me see what else I got. I got one more here. So this
Dino Bravo.
Yeah, Dino Bravo. So this is what the white arm is what it looks like in plastic once it's cast, and then the head, torso, and legs is all in wax.
Okay. This one I think was released a few months ago, I believe. This one of of Dino Bravo, because I remember these figures was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
popular because it was something never made by Hasbro. And by the way, I have also my Dino Bravo custom that I try to find the
Okay.
pictures to you. Where it is? Because there we go. I find it. My version of the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. I remember his gimmick in the
Oh yeah.
in the late 80s, early 90s was in the WWF, Dino Bravo. Also because he passed away in 1993, was killed. It's a tragic story for Dino Bravo. This is
Yeah, I
my
know his
custom figure.
story. It's yeah, it's a shame.
Do you like it?
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm zooming a little bit to show you the some little details. Was one I did this custom some years ago. I believe was in 2011. So one of my first custom that I did, Dino Bravo.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, you gotta do a custom with him him on the bench press doing the
Yes,
700 pounds or whatever that was.
yes, I remember that gimmick. But you did also other amazing custom. I mean, me, I did the custom, but you did amazing figure for one man gang too. Another another giants.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And for
Yeah,
one man gang, D8 because then later I show you also my custom because I did also a custom for one man gang. But for example, to do this custom, I talked with my friend Isaac Sculptor. I talked to him. I decided to have an 8 in the middle between King Kong Banding and Andre because actually Andre is 7'4", Bundy 6'4", 6'5", and Woman Gang was
8 or
6'10",
something.
six
Yeah.
foot 10, or 6'9", 6'9", actually 6'9". So in the middle, the two. So for example, for my custom, I decided to have an 8 that was I we use in the beginning the same body part for Bundy as for Bundy, but we decide to change a little bit the shape of the body to have a taller character than Bundy because he's taller. So is in the middle in my collection. In your works, what is the size, the height of Woman Gang from Zombie Sailor's Toys? Is taller than Bundy and shorter
Yeah,
than Andy?
I think do you remember what we did? I think I saw that too, and so I think I made one man gang taller. Um, I mean, I think like all toy companies reuse some parts, so I'll have to look at them. But I think we reused something. Like so, it's either the torso or the legs that we reused. But I made sure that the final thing, one man gang, was taller than King Kong Bundy. Um, yeah,
Cool.
I think I was like looking at a wrestling match of King Kong Bundy and Andre the Giant, like they wrestled, and so you could see the size difference between them when they were actually, run up and like tackle each other, and you're like, oh my god, that's made King
It's
Kong
interesting
Bundy look like a
because
little kid.
exactly, because King Kong Bundy was 468 pounds, 6'5", but looks like a dwarf compared with Andre. That means
Yeah,
how big was Andre at the time. One Man Gang is a little bit is taller than King Kong Bundy, but also near Andre looks smaller. However, I want to show you also is one of my favorite customs that I did, the custom of One Man Gang, and I want to show you that also in few moments because I need to find it because I have a gallery with many figures, and I need to find the alphabetical order, but is because I need to find the O. There we go. I found it. My one man gang. So And this one is my WWF as broadcast on One Man Gang that I created for my Federation of Wrestling. So the
Oh,
do you like it?
yeah. I think I mean my might be my favorite one so far.
The body part is similar our King Kong Bundy, but we decide to change a little bit the shape to have a taller version because if you, I saw a match to understand what is the difference between these characters. Survivor Series 1987. The final match of the main event was Under the Giants, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, Rick Rude, and Butch Reed against Hogan, Bam Bam Bigelow, Morocco, Paul Orndorff, and Ken Patera. So it was a good match at that one to compare these giants between each other, no? And I saw that Andre is taller than One Man Gang, but One Man Gang was in the middle between Andre and Bundy. And so to me it was really important, and also because in the original Hasbro, sometimes there is some lack about the accurate for the different size. Because, for example, yes, Giant Gonzalez is the taller of everyone, Andre is the taller, but sometimes they use the same bot. Some, for example, Bret Hart looks like too taller in the original Hasbro, or Skinner, for example. Remember these characters, and I like that also you have the same philosophy to do these wrestling figures to respect the scale of the figures. I think is important in wrestling, especially because size means something in wrestling, no?
Yeah. It's just the total mass. I mean, it comes down to like the physics of like who can lift who and who can hit harder. The original line, there was some differences in sizes, but so many of the figures were like basically the same size. You know, most of them are just about the same height. So yeah, it's good to like expand that a little bit. So we're definitely trying to bring a little more accuracy to it, maybe a little bit more detail, but have it still kind of fit in the line, like have still kind of the same, fun toy proportions. I do like with the customs you're doing. You're doing like a little bit bigger heads, and that's it's fun. Like that's something you can work on forever, is how exactly to distort the body for a toy. And that's something that the original Hasbro line did well. Is they found a really good distortion where it made a really fun toy.
Yes, a little bit cartoonish, a little bit.
Yeah, and they didn't go all the way cartoonish. There's definitely some other toy companies that go way farther with the cartoony, but I think that they found a good middle ground. And I mean, you can tell how popular the figures are even to this day, that I think they hit on something.
And now I want to show you also some of your other models that you did, because I do some video for that. It means also to search a little bit. Speaking of other characters that you did for, because I don't know if you have the actual model there. Do you have other model in wax there or not?
I have a couple like random things. So you should be able to figure out whose torso this is.
Cool. Which character in this torso?
So this is Sabu.
Sabu, yes.
And then I have some random stuff. So this is funny. This is from, I did an Incredible Hulk for Neca years ago.
Cool.
But I keep this foot on my desk because it just looks like the Monty Python foot, like coming down to crush things. I don't know if you're a fan of Monty Python, but I just look at this foot and every time it makes me laugh. So I just keep it on my desk. And then I did a dragon head wall sconce a while ago. All right, let's see.
Wow. And for which company you did this one?
I just did it on my own. I did it because a friend wanted a wall sconce to put their bow staff on. and he wanted a dragon head, and I was like, that's a ridiculous request. I love it. I'll do it if I can make copies and just sell them on my own. So I got him
Cool. It's
two of these
beautiful,
dragon
this
heads.
one.
So it sits on the wall like this, and it can like hold his bow staff in here.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, I mean, I like this one because it just shows like how much kind of detail you can put into wax. Like you can kind of just keep going with infinite detail in skin textures and that kind of stuff. And
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's
This
fun.
one is really is beautiful. No questions about it.
Yeah.
How much time do you have to do some stuff just for yourself?
Oh, I mean, normally I try to keep like a couple nights a week for my own work. Lately, it's been less than that. I have a 2-year-old keeping me busy. So if he doesn't let me sleep and he's distracting me and everything, then sometimes like a month or two will go by without much of my personal work. But I try to keep doing it because that's kind of the fountain that reinvigorates my creativity and keeps me excited about sculpting and painting and stuff. So I try to keep going back to it as much as I can.
Yes, I found some picture of your, I believe, prototype or maybe your wax model, because I found Andre, and maybe because I won't show others, but I don't find it right now. But because this one is Andre, because we'll talk a little bit about the new one that I saw the surface somewhere. And this one, yes, I find it. There we go. So when I want to talk about a little bit some of the characters, also this one, also because some of them I do also the custom too. So I will start with this one with your design, Big Bully Music.
Oh yeah.
This one is yours. So this one is your wax model of Big Bully Music.
Yeah.
I have a little sad story about Big Bully Music, because I had another channel of wrestling. I call it Wrestling Channel with a big channel of close to 51,000 subscribers, close to 90 millions of views. And that when I do interview with wrestling, and sometimes I put some highlights in this channel of that interview, like I did, for example, with Barry Horowitz. A few years ago, I had a project, an idea to do an interview with Big Bully Music. And by the way, was a really kind and nice person. But unfortunately, later he became sick and passed away. So I was really sad that. I was fortunate to do to have some chatting with some legends. Also, for example, Fred Ottman, aka Tugboat Typhoon, or Mabel of the Men on a Mission, and other guys. And People Music was one of the guys that was available to do an interview, but later he became sick and it was impossible to interview. So that I decided to do my custom music to pay homage to him, because it was really nice to me. But before to show the custom, tell me something about this. To do Big Bully Music, for example, when I do the custom, was not easy have a good images for him, because yes, there is some images on the web, but to find the perfect images to have the right ring attire to him is not easy, because he fight at the WWF just in 1991. So find the good material, videos, because every time that we start to a custom with my friends, the first things in my mind, do some sketches, decide in which version of this character they want to display in my collection. And it's interesting because I almost do the same version of you almost, because I decided to have also an elbow pad on one of the arms. And but your I like again. I think that one of your amazing skill. I want to show you again this Bibuli music is the likeness that you have for that you create for the face. Again, like Andre, also this one is amazing. It's unbelievable. You're really you're amazing to create the perfect likeness of the face. For people music, for example, it's not easy find material for him. To me, it was a little bit a struggle find a good way to create a good custom of him. But I decided to have, like you, a version with the ring attire, but with the hat and with the cigar. So tell me something about the choice and about the create also the likeness for him for the face, because it's not easy find the good photos, good videos to him.
Yeah, you're right with some wrestlers. I mean, especially some of the vintage ones. There aren't like that many photos. Sometimes they're not high resolution photos. So what I find myself doing is sometimes using photos from them when they're 10 years younger or 10 years older, making a similar face from a different angle, and then I try to like de-age them or age them up. Because sometimes you can't find, like, if there's one expression they make, if they're making one really great expression, you only get one photo of it from one view, and so the rest of it you have to figure out. So it's a challenge, but definitely with something like Big Bully Busick, if you're doing like a solid sculpt with everything welded in place, it's one thing. But for a toy, a lot of times you want like the hat and the cigar removable. So the thing I remember about him when I was sculpting him was trying to get the hat removable and the cigar removable. I mean, you have to sculpt the mouth, so it's a little bit open, but it's not ridiculous, so that you can put the cigar in. It looks good. If you pull the cigar out, it looks like he's talking. And so that's something you can go back and forth on a bunch. And with the hat, it's real easy to sculpt the hat too thick. Like you put the walls of the hat in there and you think it's right. You put it on the head and it looks like the hat is this giant, sombrero, like that's way too big for the head. So yeah, that's what I remember.
And speaking of the body part, is the same of Dino Bravo or is different?
Oh, yeah, the whole the head and everything is different. I think yeah, I think the body is the same as Dino Bravo. No, okay, so the legs are different because the Dino Bravo has the knee pads.
Okay. Yes, that's right. They use their knee pads. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Also because I do Dino Bravo too. So now it's time to show you my Big Bully Busy to discover what do you think about it.
Oh yeah.
I did this one a few years ago too. I don't remember which years, but 3-4 years ago, I'm sure something like that. It's interesting because you did the figures for especially for the figures of the golden era, on this era that that I did in my federation, WWF Hasbro Federation, and I need to find it also where it is because as usual too much. Unfortunately, my figure has not a removable hat and removable cigar. So it's fixed. You can I think the idea to have a removable cigar and a removable hat is beautiful. But to mine, I just did the idea to have to don't do that. I don't know why I do this choice, but maybe it's because maybe you can see right now. I think.
Oh yeah, I can see him.
Yes. To this one, for example, was I choose different body part for different characters for the Hasbros because um, the face is original. I designed that, and my friends sculpt for me the face, so it's not based for someone. But the upper body is for Jim Duggan, but not the arm. I don't remember what is this arm, but the legs are from Doink. So every time to use the material of the Hasbro plus something new, especially for the body part, I do some comparison with my Hasbro to figure out which solution is better for the size and the height of the feet of the characters.
Yeah.
So this is
So
how it works.
the torso on that Big Bully Busick was your custom, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The torso is the Axan Jim Duggan Hasbro torso, but we create the arms. So actually, because when we do the custom with Hasbro, we do the original heads in general, and we modified the Hasbro tools. No, the body, we mix body with legs. Sometimes we change, we modify the shape. Like for one man gang, we extended the body of Bam Bam Bigelow to have a taller guy. So depends of the character, depends of which one we need to do. But I want to continue with yours because I have another one that I never did. Then I haven't in my collection. I haven't this one. So it's interesting because I want to discover also the size for this one. Because maybe if is because the problem to me too, I love the zombie sailor story figures, but in general they did decide to do character that I have in my collection, and to put someone that I have, I need that is in scale also with my hands, but it's not easy because this one is okay. This one is a broadcaster. I have a plethora of broadcaster in my collection. I have Howard Finkel, I have Minji Nockland, I have Jim Ross, I have Vince McMahon, I have Jack Tunney, the WWF president, many other characters in tuxedo, no? But I haven't this one. So the question is, what is the size of this one?
Oh, so he's so I think I remember he's a little bit taller than Earl Hebner. I think Earl Hebner was shorter, and so he's taller, and so I'm trying to remember what Heidi is in real life.
In real life, maybe I can search on Google the only way.
Yeah, it's like 5'11". So he's a little bit smaller than he's almost as tall as some of the wrestlers, but not as thick. I made the arms and stuff skinnier.
Yes, I tried to search on Wikipedia. There is not it on Wikipedia. So in general, I don't know what is the real height. Maybe on Google. He's 6 feet tall. Looks like on Google.
Okay, yeah, I think Earl Hebner more like 5'7" or something.
Earl Hebner, I don't know because I have the figure. I do a short figure, for example. Yes, it's 5'7", 5'7". So 5 feet 7 inches. Earl Hebner. So he's shorter than.
Yeah. So I did hit shorter.
And by the way, also for this one, you did an amazing job for the likeness again. So it looks like to see. I like so much your talent to do the likeness for the face is amazing. Better than Mattel. And this one is really interesting because I did the custom for this guy. The Doctor of Slack. He's a pretty tall guy. Before to talk about your works on this one, I have a little story for that. Slack is a 6'3", 6'3", 6'4" guy. And when he was a manager, in general, was a manager, a taller guy like one man gang, big boss man. They were 6'6" big boss man, 6'9" one man gang. And when become a manager, a two shorter guy than him, like Hercules and Paul Roma, the Power and Glory, the WWF was really concerned of how to don't show this different size between
Yeah.
the manager and the wrestler, because he was too tall for two shorter wrestlers. So it was interesting, that stuff, and decide to put him in the background during the interview to try to don't have a manager taller than the wrestler. No. However,
Yeah.
tell me something also about it. The works and behind the scene of this one is really beautiful. Again, the likeness is perfect again, and honestly, it's better than my custom, because when I try to create a design a face of him, I try to do something that looks like Slack, but not like this one. This one is perfect. The ethos is removable for Slack.
Oh, so the hat. So I sculpted it as a separate piece, but it won't be removable in the toy, because there's certain haircuts where it won't work. It'll just look like hat head. So he had like these curls, and if I made the hat removable, then where the hat fit, it would just smash all the curls down, and it just wouldn't work well. So on the final figure, well, okay. So you won't be able to have a no hat version. There'll be two hats. You'll be able to pop one hat off, but the head will just be flat, and then you'll pop a second hat on. So there'll be two different hat versions. And we'll see how that works in China. Sometimes China has to do a little engineering to make sure that all works.
Okay.
Yeah, because he has two hats. He wears like a fedora, and wears like a page boy.
To find the perfect way to have the likeness, but also the suit, because I remember when I do the research for my version of Slack, again, find the good material is not easy also for Slack, and also because my version that I decided to have was the version of with a blue suit and a white hat, so it was a version that appears just, I believe, in one edition of one pay-per-view. So it was difficult also to find the right color. But to you,
Yeah.
it was easy to you find the material to create the version of your own version?
Yeah, I remember that when I was looking through all the variations, the different suits he wore. I mean, that was part of his, his gimmick is the snappy dress, and so there was like so many suits, and I think I did, because he's tall. I put a spacer into his waist to make him a little bit taller, and we do what we can, but I think he probably should be even taller, like, because the spacer in the waist helped, but he was a lanky guy. Like, he had really long, like, arms and legs.
Yes, that's right. So I think it's time to show you my Slack custom now.
But
It's not beautiful like yours. I think it's a nice custom, but again, the likeness of yours is perfect in my opinion. The likeness of your Slack.
so I remember what I was thinking when I was sculpting him is I remember an instructor in art school told me never sculpt teeth. Like, never sculpt somebody with an open mouth, because the teeth will never go well and the mouth is going to look weird. And so then I worked in the toy industry, and then every once in a while they're like, we want somebody smiling or like talking mid, mouth open. and it's always extra hard to get the teeth right and get maybe some touch of like tongue showing maybe a little bit, and that's always the hardest thing. Oh wow, you did do the powder blue suit.
Yes, we use for this one. We use the upper body of the DiBiase. We change the because DiBiase weren't he used he didn't use a tie, so we change a little bit the upper body, and we use longer legs because it's taller to have a to looks like taller. And I don't remember what is the reference for the because I again when to do the sculpt. I used some research for the photos to have the good expression for this custom of the leg. So it's nice, but it's not beautiful like yours, in my opinion.
No, well, I mean, you get the pleasure of having it painted because I just do the wax and then I send it off, and then I see the paint and then it gets sent off again and then I see the toy. And so, like it's my baby. I put everything I can into it, and then it travels away, and I don't see it for a while.
But you have the actual figure for every figure that you did for Zombie Sailors? Zombie Sailors story?
No, I will get them eventually, but
I think that you, because of your work, your amazing job, you deserve to have an exemplar for each character that you did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Actually, it will be nice because I have some of the waxes here, and then I have some resins. So it will be interesting to have like the whole progression to set it up side by side and have the wax next to the resin, next to the actual production action figure from China, and have all three side by side so I can see how they look.
And now I want to talk with you a little bit about your job with Neca. Tell me which one project you see so far you was a part with Neca. Because I remember American Werewolf in London. I remember that one.
Yeah. I did the Nightmare Demons, which that was from the dream sequence, which they loom kind of so heavily in your mind because they're such good designs. But that dream sequence is pretty fast, and it's not that high resolution film, and they're moving quick, and there's like motion blur. So that one was a tough one for reference because I mean, there's like 2 of those werewolves that you can like see well, and then I did 4 of them, so there's 2 like in the background you can't see that well. And so at some point you got to like find who has the actual foam latex mask now, and then it's always degraded, and so it loses detail. And so at some point you just have to make up and fill in the gaps that you can't see. That's a tough one.
Another really cool job, that one with American Werewolf, because I saw the prototype actually in your on your Instagram page, and they are really cool.
Yeah. I think there's still stuff I've done for NECA that hasn't come out yet. It's because I mean sometimes they have a lag time, and so things come out later. They did show their mummy, and I worked on the mummy with another sculptor, and it was like I went and I spent forever sculpting those little wraps going around the body, just around and around and around. And I worked on the head some, and then somebody worked on the head after me. But yeah, some of the NECA projects have so much detail that it just seems like it's infinite detail. And so they'll have someone work on it for a long time, and then I work on it for a long time, and then it gets passed on. And it's so many of the properties, the predators and the aliens are so detail intense that it just takes forever to do.
So we need to wait a little bit to discover which other project do you work so far with NECA, because are not really revealed so far.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, and there's some big stuff with Zombie Sailors Toys coming up that hasn't been revealed yet. There's some big stuff with them too. So
cool.
I can't wait to talk about it. I mean, yeah, I don't do interviews at my desk because they was like, oh, let's see your working desk, and I think I cleared off all the spoilers, but there's always
maybe when something new. When something new will comes out from both NECA and Zombie Sailors, you will return to talks about some behind the scene also for that, because I'm really especially looking forward to discovering which other characters for the golden era you did for Zombie Sailors, because so far you did an amazing job again, not only for the likeness for the face, but also because I think that the source of your job with Zombie Sailors is really cool, because you can find some vibes of the Hasbros, not the style, the idea, but also something more realistic. So you save a little bit the cartoonish stuff, but you put this philosophy in a more realistic way, in general for the figure, and especially for the likeness of the face. And I like so much all comes out, everything.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's kind of those sculpts. Zombie Sailor gave me kind of the freedom to make the sculpts my own, and so it is kind of my whole history as a sculptor, doing classical sculpting, and then doing McFarlane and Neca style, and then coming to this. Like, I think you can see the whole history in the sculpts that I'm doing. So hopefully it's the Hasbro sculpts, but a little bit more modern, a little updated, a little more realistic. That's the goal. And I don't know. I hope I did it. I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so having to look at my sculpts, I keep thinking I could have done better. So.
But this is typical for an artist. Me too. When I watch something that I like, but maybe there's something that some details, not in the novel. In general, I'm really satisfied about my novel, but especially when I did some song, and now in my crafting work with diorama, foam, and cutted stuff, I watch that. I'm satisfied by says maybe this one could be better and this one should be better. So it's typical for an artist, one dreaming the perfection. But in my opinion, you're I can see also in my background right now, you're Andre. But in general, everybody in this roster that you built for Zombie Sailor is really cool. It's really cool. And I discovered that also the people like so much that, because we know that Mattel now puts out the Mattel Retro. Mattel Retro, I have a collection of them, but only for the modern character, because I prefer my WWF Hasbro. If I can compare my WWF Hasbro custom, except for Tugboat, with the new announced Tugboat Mattel Retro, I prefer my Tugboat, because they use the good scale, the good size. They use the same model for each character. I saw, for example, the prototype revealed for WrestleMania weekend for Tugboat, another guy 6'7", 400 pounds, or close to 400 pounds, and they use the same body part for Bray Wyatt as a guy maybe 6'4", but less 285 pounds. You can use the same body part of 285 pounds for a guy that is over 100 pounds more than this guy, no? And Mattel put the same body style for different characters. They are so different in real life, and I don't like it. I prefer my Hasbro, or your job is beautiful. And there is a reason why I discovered that the people that like Mattel Retro are people that like the WWF Hasbro. but like more your job with zombie terror, because when I put some zombie terror news, the people, the fan of Hasbro become really happy about the quality, about the likeness, about their looks. They looks freaking awesome. Speaking of the of the likeness, of the shape of the body, and also to respect also, like you says before, the old one style. So an updated version, but respect the proportion with the character. So I think
Yeah.
they are really popular now for this part of target in wrestling collector, because on this channel I built a community of Hasbro fan, WWF Hasbro, and this community looks like smaller than Mattel, but it's really strong, because if you love Hasbro, you don't like so much the Mattel. Jax was a little bit better in my opinion, speaking of proportion. And by the way, it was made by my friend who was two-time in my show, Jeremy Padauer, created the Jax Pacific wrestling figures. So was a pioneer for that and did amazing job also there. And was better in my opinion. But Mattel, also the Mattel Elite, for example, no, the figures 76 inches or 7 inches. I don't remember this because I don't collect.
But
I have some of them.
The Jax Pacific, those were like the 6-7 inch ones, right?
Yes, but was better than the Mattel. Mattel is the same scale, 60 inches like that.
Yeah.
But Mattel put sometimes lean bodies. I saw a official tugboat Mattel, not Mattel Retro, the Mattel, the 60 inches. They use a lean body for a big super wave like tugboat or like earthquake. It's not good to me, because you need to have a fat guy. Is fat? Is fat? Is big? Is big? You know, you can put a lean body for a tugboat, a slim body. No, don't. It's not correct in my opinion. So I like your. I totally like your. In general, I like your talent is amazing. Also, I saw that you work for Neca and the other stuff. So I think that is able to become better of his experience in different type of job. And because of your everything that you learned with your previous experience, you actually speak with NECA also too, you're able to do something special for wrestling. I think it's really cool. So can't wait to discover what is next from your work with Zombie Sailor's Toy, because I think blow my mind again. It's really
there's
cool.
Some big stuff coming. And yeah, I mean, as far as reusing parts, I mean, every company ends up, like almost every company ends up doing it because you can just save money, and so you can do more characters if you reuse some body parts. But we're trying to do it smartly and to not do it too much. So it's not like we're just doing, okay, there's 3 body types, you know, fat guy, skinny guy, muscular guy. We're only reusing parts when it makes sense. When people really, really have a similar body. So if somebody has a really distinctive body, you know, like Andre or somebody, like his body is so distinctive, like you got a sculpt just for him.
Exactly, I'm totally agree with that. So if you compare, I give you this question is not easy maybe. If you can use only one word, you can pick only one word to describe your previous job with McFarlane, your job with NECA, and today, and also with Zombie Sailor's Toys. Can you choose a word for each experience? What is this word? What words you can pick for these 3 different experiences in your career?
Oh man, so I think for the McFarlane era, I think the word would be something like learning, or like apprentice, because I went from like sculpting like in a school where you learn to sculpt with like, they're like sculpt as big as you can, sculpt with like water-based clay and make your molds with plaster. Like if you want to sculpt in wax, they give you like French wax, which is this incredibly soft wax. It's like sculpting in butter. And they're like, be like gestural and loose. And then I got to McFarlane Toys, and the first thing they do is like, all right, sculpt a shoe that's like 1 inch long, that's like a modern, basketball shoe. So it has all these like layers of leather on it and these complex lacing patterns. And then even the heel has these indentations all over it. And so, and then if you have the license with the shoe company, it has to look exactly like the shoe, because you have a deal with them that you're going to do their shoe. So it was about learning how to do that kind of detail and how to like up my observation skills and learning how to like search for reference. I mean, I knew what I was doing, or, I felt like I was an artist, but I had to learn how to apply my art to that style of work at McFarlane. So I guess learning would be my, would be the word for that. And then for Neca, I'm not sure what word I would pick. I mean, possibly like.
I know that it is a tricky question. I know that.
I mean, like maybe like satisfaction, because there were certain licenses that I really admired. Like I really admired what Giger did with Alien, and then what Cameron did designing Aliens, stuff like that. That whole franchise, and even what Mobius did in the first movie, designing the spaceships and suits. I mean, it's some of like my favorite artists doing their best work. It's amazing. So then to get to kind of play in that universe a little, like I did a lot of the human characters for Alien, and so it was that the outfits, the spacesuits that Mobius designed, and then I got to work some on the Kenner aliens, the mantis and the gorilla, where I mean, we've reused some parts, but then I got to do a lot of the designing and sculpting of new parts. And so in that case, I was playing in that Giger arena, but then it had to feel a little bit like the Kenner toys and a little bit like the comics and a little bit like Giger's original designs. Then a little bit something new, but in that ballpark. And then I worked on a bunch of stuff in the sort of the Alien universe. And so that was definitely very satisfying to be a fan of it from when I was really young, and then to get to go and play in that arena was, I guess, satisfaction.
Cool. And from Zombie Sailor?
Future. I mean, yeah, I guess future. I mean, there's big stuff coming, and I mean, future even works from like when I first talked to him. I get contacted quite a bit about people having an idea for a figure, and a lot of times there are certain reasons like it won't work because they have a great idea, but they don't have the financial backing or the sales or they aren't able to make it in China, but they have a great idea, but they only want to sell 50 figures. And I'm like, or 100 figures. And I'm like, that's a really awkward number because you can't cut the molds in China for 100 figures. You got to sell more than that. So you kind of have to start with a bigger operation. And so, yeah, when this whole thing started with Zombie Sailor Toys, I was like, does it have a future? Is it going to go? And it looks like it's going, and it's going big. So
cool, really cool. So now it's time for the last question. My last question is, there is some franchise or movie or cartoon or everything that you never worked before, and do you want to do is like a dream that's still in your desk, but maybe you want to do in the future?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a big. I really love, uh, sci-fi fantasy stuff. Um, so I've never really worked on any. I mean, I'd love to do Battlestar Galactica, like the new show and the original show, like the Cylons and stuff from the original show loom large in my memory. I mean, I've never worked on Star Trek or Doctor Who, and those were two that I grew up on. And I mean, yeah, Doctor Who would be a little weird because I saw it when I was so young, and so the monsters were so scary. But then if I had to sculpt them now, a lot of them, like my mind filled in the details of how scary they were. They weren't that complicated of sculpts. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a fanboy of a lot of properties from the 80s and 70s, and so there's a lot of things. Oh, I did get to work a little bit on The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing for Neca.
Cool.
And that was a movie I saw as a kid. Absolutely terrified me. I mean, it's one of those movies you can see once as a kid, and like scenes are just embedded in your head. And so it was an honor to work on that.
Cool. And now it's time to go to the piano, to the final moment of the show. Thanks for watching, my friends. And don't forget to follow Alex Heinke on his social media, Instagram page, to discover his art. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interview, video, review, toy news. And thank you, Alex, to come back on my show. So thank you again to be on my show. And when something new comes out from Zombie Sailors or from Neca, where you are involved, you will return to talks about this, the process behind the scene of these amazing figures that personally I'm looking forward to discovering which one characters will be in the Zombie Sailor roster from you, because I'm really curious to discover in which way you represent some characters, because you did an amazing job also with this big boss behind me, Andre the Giants. So thank you again, my friend.
But yeah, thank you for having me back. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, sorry, the last time I was on, I was still recovering from COVID, so I was a little bit spacey.
No
so hopefully I was a little bit better this time.
No problem. So thank you so much, and thank you to all of you guys. And don't forget, every week, speaking of wrestling figures, WWF has Stop Motion, and more toy news for each company. And this is the episode 56 of my show, and more is coming with many other awesome guests. Thanks for watching, guys, and see